Uranus went into Taurus March 6th, but in order to decipher what this transit will bring, first it's super important to understand both the planet of Uranus and the archetype of Taurus. Then we know how to work with the energy. In spiritual astrology, Uranus is the planet of destiny and is the only planetary energy you cannot control. Looking and observing Uranus, the planetary body, it is unique among the other planets because its axis of rotation is tilted sideways. And so, ruling over the sign of Aquarius, it is known as the rebel of the zodiac, representing individualism. In ancient times, it was confused to be a star. Uranus was the first planet discovered with a telescope, expanding the known boundaries of the solar system for the first time in history. Our consciousness wasn't ready for Uranus till that point. As above, so below. When Uranus was discovered, it brought about the beginnings of the Industrial Revolution. Astrohistorians often point out the revolutions underway at this time in France and America, and the busting free of old structures of power, a wake-up call for both individuals and the collective. As a whole, Uranus is the planet of revolution, visionary progress. It is the planet of freedom. It brought with it the invention of electricity, something that is so intertwined, a part of us today. We wake up and turn the lights on. We use all these devices that are possible due to that invention. Uranus brings with it intuition that is like lightning in a flash of knowingness. These developments make Uranus connected with future-oriented subjects such as science and metaphysics, and internet and mental studies. Uranus represents originality, inventions, genius, cosmic consciousness. It is known as the Great Awakener. Uranus is an outer planet which takes about 84 years to go around the sun, which means it spends about 7 years in each sign, which makes it more of a generational energy whose effects you see on a more collective level than personal. We have to see which house Uranus transits your natal chart in order to get a more specific experience description for you, but ultimately I do think Uranus transits will affect us personally more than ever now and be more crucial to understand today, because as we're entering the Age of Aquarius, Uranus transits are in some way transitioning us into the new age, whether we like it or not, and establishing ways of living globally and politically that will be part of our whole current lifetime. So you have to think, how is this transit helping us transition? Uranus defies tradition, freedom from conventional thinking, and now it will be in the sign of Taurus till April 2026. Well, first we must understand the archetype of Taurus, the sign of values, possessions, self-worth. Taurus is resources. At this day and age, that could be financial standing, food, shelter. Taurus is an earth sign which rules over the physical body, our senses, represents Mother Earth, which makes it associated with agriculture. Taurus is a fixed sign, the stubborn bull that likes stability and comfort. It's a slow-paced sign where security means everything. You could see how Uranus is in detriment in Taurus and exalted in Scorpio, the opposite sign of Taurus. Sometimes to understand a sign, we must comprehend its polarity. So what will the planet of Uranus, of urge for change, do when cohesive with the archetype of Taurus? Disruption occurs if you hold on to value systems that are not in harmony with new direction of society as a whole. In order to understand horoscopic interpretations on how things can play out with a transit, one looks at history at a time when it last happened. an assessment technique you could call psychohistorical analysis, just as psychologists and astrologers do when dealing with biographical studies to understand personal placements. So in this case, the last time Uranus was in Taurus was back in 1934, beginning of the Great Depression. This caused chaos, the era of the New Deal and the beginning of the Second World War, producing a fairly conservative and materialistic generation. But we have to see how with it came the change in the abuse of the bank systems and establishment of things like Social Security, which is still standing today. Again, Uranus instilling systems that will be a part of us for a long time to come. It is always for a new and better pattern. But of course, Uranus in Taurus this time around isn't working slowly. It is making aspects with other current planet placements that weren't the same. They were different than they were the last time Uranus was in Taurus. So Uranus, which rules over Aquarius, the next sign after Capricorn, the archetype of discipline, responsibility on the evolutionary cycle, after coming from Capricorn, climbing up to the top of the mountain, chasing personal success and achievement through our public persona. Aquarius, which comes along and we realize through it we have lost a sense of ourselves, our spark of individuality through all the work and structure we've imposed on our lives. We might have neglected others, the world, in this case, the earth. So you can't deny or ignore our thoughts quickly lead us to think of climate change. When thinking about Uranus and Taurus, if Uranus brings unexpected and unpredictable changes, some say Uranus and Taurus will bring many natural disasters and drastic weather conditions. As well as with the current Pluto and Capricorn, it will shake up institutions, businesses, social service, academic organizations in power, but all for the betterment of society and the health of the world. Uranus changes are often disruptive, yes, but it destroys the ruts in which we can get stuck and sets us free. Again, you can't control Uranus. The only thing you can control is your reaction to it. Uranus' association with electricity and Taurus' association with the physical body, we must remember the Earth itself is a magnetic body, and the human body generates its own magnetic field. Uranus could create situations where the connections between various electric fields go haywire, causing a disruption in the transfer of information. Disruption of the electrical signals within the body can lead to illness and psycho-emotional reactions. We've already seen so many studies come out on the fact that stress itself can make one sick and cause disease. Taurus is ruled by Venus, the planet of beauty, what we value. You can already see a huge shift in the online community, particularly social media, trying to embrace more natural feminine beauty, a fight against touched up, distorted pictures of a perfect life that aren't real. We're beginning to embrace full-figured sensuality, figures. We know companies have sold us beauty standards to buy more toxic junk, also affecting the world, more garbage. So Uranus is trying to get us back to nature, but that doesn't mean we have to go back to hunters and gatherers. It is trying to find us a balance between both innovative ways of bringing together new technologies to work alongside nature without neglecting and destroying the earth, our already perfect, beautiful home, our security. This will bring peace of mind. Uranus rules over new technologies and shaking things up. Uranus in Taurus can bring agriculture revolution. When you think about food, we know food is connected to big corporations that lobby government. We know food companies sell us processed food for mass consumption. Again, we know food connects us to our physical health. If we invested in it, we wouldn't have to buy medicine. If food is medicine, the revolution starts from home. Where and from who are you buying your food? The sources you get, all your needs actually, are your needs contributing to helping your community? Uranus and Taurus will bring timely ideas for materially implementing new directions that are being taken on. So you could say those born with this placement, for example, will be born with this energy of insight, genius, ways to structure the new directions, while those born with Uranus in Capricorn, which is most of the Pluto and Scorpio generation, now entering the workforce, grew up learning the rules in order to break them in controversial but evolutionary ways, such as bringing to light systematic oppression, such as Black Lives Matter and feminism, huge one. Uranus and Taurus will cause global economy shifts and ultimately the way we view money exchange. If we do not find a sense of generativity with Uranus and Taurus, it will cause stagnation and boredom in our lives, interpersonal impoverishment, making us feel empty inside our self-worth. That intense Scorpio duality, no job, no relationship, friends, nothing will fill that void if you decide to stay behind. At the core, I truly just think Uranus and Taurus will have us looking at what we truly value outside of our material world and internet personas. The Pluto in Scorpio generation, the generation born between 1983 and 1993, the transitional generation into the new age of Aquarius. We are called to rid the old, no longer useful structures that have built up new ways of living, both on a collective and personal level. How can we be conservational millennials? Should we actually commit to start buying organic and locally sustainable clothing, food? We need to come up with ways to help establish these innovative ideas in practical, essential ways. So research into all these areas can happen during this transit, coming up with creative solutions to bring us forward into the future and pave the way for a rebirth, Scorpio, into a new way of life. New age, 5D, some call it, where we will feel more alive, liberated than ever. Liberated from identity crisis, especially liberated from the Saturnian pressures, and more importantly, self-empowerment. No longer relying on outside systems. When you learn to not fight change and become one with the cycles and processes of nature, quote unquote, alignment. Alignment, yes, like the hippy dippy people say. And are aware and accepting of your place in society, in your family, in your community. That's what alignment is. Many people feel the instability, and that causes identity delusions, especially with the current Neptune and Pisces transit also happening, which makes people latch onto groups, religions, countries, patriotism. And why? It's to feel a sense of being someone in a diverse world that is only becoming more diverse. So because of the alienation from cultural traditions, it can be a hard transition for some. There will be feelings of insecurity due to attachment. Uranus is the planet that rules astrology, for it gives us insight into the cosmic laws that concern the relationship of man and the solar system. Astrology is a tool to understand our inner self. So just as it was used in agriculture to use nature to increase the yield of the crops, and with realizing that we are capable of working alongside nature as part of one ecosystem, each of us is part of the fabric of that divine intelligence. So it's been said that psychology textbooks of the future will look back on modern psychologists working without the aid of astrology as being like medieval astronomers working without the aid of the telescope. So then we can bridge astrology with studies such as medical astrology, with herbalism and alchemy, spirituality with science, to accelerate healing of the planet Earth, our home. But just as well accelerate our personal growth and transformational evolution in the right direction. Well, if you've made it this far in the video and you're possibly part of the Pluto and Scorpio generation and been feeling a bit lost, if you need a career advisor or creative direction, I'd be happy to look at your chart and not just dissect it natally and all your characteristics and this and that, but really implement the current transits aligned with your being to help you prosper the next 7 years. I'm Scorpio, and I'd always liked and enjoyed empowering those around me, and I've come to realize I can really see through people to see the best places people can thrive. And that's a Pluto and Scorpio gift we can all carry through this very transformative time. Thanks for watching.